the biggest pro to a plea deal is that you know what you're getting. You know, you work it out in advance. You know, you can figure it out. You know, kind of plan for it if it involves, you know, some level of prison time. You know, not pleading and going to trial, I mean, it's a gamble. You could win, and I've been very blessed in that regard with my cases. I've had many more wins than losses. But if you do lose, you know, you haven't taken responsibility. You know, you made the court and the taxpayers put on a trial. Generally, you're going to get hit with a much more severe sentence when it's all said and done if you lose. You know, a plea, if you're looking for probation instead of a prison sentence, a plea is usually going to be the way to achieve that. I mean, it's like I say, with certain rare exceptions, if you go to trial on a felony, you know, probably there's going to be a prison sentence when it's all said and done if you lose. Of course, if you win, you go home. You can also do things, I mean, one of the cons, and I guess if you're talking about a plea versus you know, versus going to trial, one of the big cons of a conviction is, you know, even once it's all said and done, you've still got the conviction. So you lose all these rights, you know, can't vote, carry a firearm, and then just your life is going to be harder. You know, because you're trying to find work, and I mean, it's always going to be there for the public to see. The exception to that is what's called the First Offender Act. And to a lesser extent, there's a similar vehicle called conditional discharge, which is specifically for drug cases. But the way that works is if it's successfully completed, and there are harsh penalties for failing to complete them. So we always have to have a very serious conversation with the client before they do a first offender or conditional discharge. But if they do complete them, when it's all said and done, the case is dismissed. You're not a convicted felon. While you're on probation, you know, until you complete it, you can't carry a gun. But once it's over, you're back to where you started. You've got your voting rights. You can carry a firearm. You can put on your application, or, you know, if you're asked by a potential employer, you say, I've never been convicted of a felony. And yeah, your best odds of getting that come through a plea, as opposed to going through a trial and then after the fact saying, well, you know, Judge, show me mercy and grant me this wonderful gift of first offender. So I'd say those are really the pros and cons. But it's something like a lot of stuff, it's a case-by-case analysis, and it's something that, you know, the lawyer and the defendant, and sometimes their family too, you have to kind of sit together and hash it out. And, you know, well, how do you feel about this? And, you know, often the biggest question is, you know, how comfortable are you with the risk? You know, if you're being offered, I mean, I've seen, you know, where the plea offer was 5 years, and then the person rejected that and went to trial and got 40. You know, if he had it to do over again, he certainly would have taken the plea. But there's no way to know that until you actually go through it. You know, I've represented people facing life without parole, you know, as a potential punishment, and, you know, thankfully got not guilty. But if it had gone the other way, you know, the rest of your life's a long time to think about that.